At JcrOffroad, we made our tire carrier delete plate with legality in mind. It holds a license plate. It holds a license plate light, legality. It holds a third brake light, ladies. And it holds a JL backup camera. So you can pretend that you know how to parallel park. All of this awesomeness installs super ridiculously easy, so let's get started. So the first step is going to be to remove the wheel and tire off the factory carrier. And at this point you may be asking, why is your wheel pink? And I'd ask you to mind your own business, because I'm a grown man and I can paint this wheel any color I want. And these instructions are going to work if your wheel isn't as cool of a color as pink. Maybe yours is silver or black or something else boring, but you can follow along just the same. I invite you to watch the instructions even though you don't have as cool of a color wheel as I have. Anyway, the first step is to remove this little camera hood here. You're going to take a T40 Torx socket, stick it in there and twist that counterclockwise to the unlock position, and then this just slides off. I have no idea what it's actually for, so we're just going to toss it. Then we're going to remove the lug nuts and pull off our pretty pink wheel. All right, now we're going to pull this wheel and tire off the factory carrier, and to prove I'm still a man, even though I've got a pink wheel, I'm going to do it by myself. So, even though it's a 37 and a... Oh, Jesus, a huge mistake. Oh, it's so big. Ugh. Dang it. Now we got to remove this inner panel inside the tailgate here, and I find just kind of grabbing right here where the wiring goes in and just carefully pulling it off. Works fine. So we're going to remove these top two connectors. This bottom one is for the lock or whatnot. So the first thing to do is take this little red clip and pull it all the way out. And then there's a little black button there. Go ahead and push in. And in theory, this connector comes apart just like that. So that's that one. And then for the coax for the camera, push in the white clip and then pull it straight apart in the same way. Being careful not to break those. So once those are loose, we're going to come to the other side and we're going to pull this wiring and this grommet right through the tailgate. Just like that, so that is loose. Now using a 13mm socket, go ahead and remove the 8 bolts that are holding on the factory tire mount. Then go ahead and remove the whole assembly. All right, so now we have to take apart this factory carrier so we can harvest all of the wiring and the backup camera. And you're going to do that with a T25 Torx. And up here on top, you're going to remove these 7 Torx bits, and then on the tire carrier portion, you're going to remove 2, 1 on each side. So just get those all pulled out, and then you can start to pull that carrier apart. All right, once you get all those loose, you can push these studs through. Yours might be a little tighter than ours, so you may have to use a dead blow hammer for that. But go ahead and pull these studs out there. All right, now we're going to want to take this apart after all the screws are out. So just go ahead and pull this off the back. And then we have to remove this clip. And you would think it'd be on this side, but you'd be wrong. So we have to take our T25 again and pull these 2 screws here to remove the factory third brake light. Then once that's done, we can flip it over, push in the little tab, and pull this apart. So now we have this wiring here, and what we're going to do is pull it through there, and then we'll have most of the wiring loose. Now we have to free the camera from where it's at. So go ahead and flip this back over, and you'll see these kind of black plastic pieces here inside of where the studs were for the lug nuts. So go ahead and push that through, and yours might take a little more force than ours did, but that's the general concept. If you have to use a little brass puncher or something, that'll work fine. Then once you have this little camera mount out, you're going to want to grab a T8 and remove these 3 tiny little screws to get this camera free. Once those 3 screws are removed, go ahead and pull this camera out, and then there's a little pink clip there. Push that in and pull the camera free of the wiring harness, and then pull the wiring harness free. All right, so all you need from the factory tire mount is this wiring harness and this camera. Everything else you can throw in the trash. We supply you with this really sweet little LED license plate light, but there's no 12-volt circuit, there's no running light circuit in the tailgate from the factory, so we have to go find one. And the easiest place is going to be in the passenger side taillight. So we're going to take that apart first. Let's get started on that. All right, so to get the taillight off, first you have to pull this little cover off, and you can use a dash clip tool or whatever. Just pop that guy off, and then use a T40. There's a little white Torx head screw in here. It's plastic, and that just takes a T40. So go ahead and loosen that all the way up. They're not on there very tight at all. Then you're going to see this kind of crazy looking plastic spring, whatever. Once that bolt is removed, the taillight comes off pretty simply. Just go ahead and pull it right off the corner there, and then we'll disconnect it so we can work on the bench. Take this red clip and push it all the way out. And this might be a little difficult, but there's a black clip right here that we have to push down while at the same time pulling these clips apart. And this one fights me every single time. So there we go, got that apart. All right, so to get the wiring from the tail light to the tailgate, we have to go underneath this plastic here. So we're gonna have to take some stuff apart. We have to get this rubber out, and that is covered by this plastic portion here on our soft top. So the first step is to kick out that C-pillar part of the soft top there, and then with a T50, go ahead and remove this bolt. Once that's done, you can pull off this plastic piece here, and that will give you access to this rubber gasket here. If this is underneath your hardtop, sorry, I don't have a hardtop to figure that out, you may be able to do this without pulling this gasket off. You can just pry it back to get the plastic off. But with a soft top, it's so easy just to pull this gasket. I would do it that way. Go ahead and with your tool, pop up those two little plastic Christmas tree thingies, and then go ahead and pull that rubber just kind of down out of the way. Now we are going to separate this plastic here, and the first step with your dash tool or a screwdriver is to pop up the seatbelt trim here. Pop that up and move that out of the way. And then this is all clips right here. So you got to be careful you don't break anything, but we're just going to go ahead and pull this plastic apart. That's as far as we have to go. What we're trying to get to is this grommet right here. We're going to poke our wires through this grommet. We're going to run them down here, and this is the harness for the tailgate. So we're just going to follow that harness into the tailgate with our wiring for the license plate LED. So take a Phillips screwdriver and remove these 3 screws here, and that'll take this back cover off, and that'll give us a little more access to the wires that we're trying to get to here. All right, so once you get this plastic piece off here, you're going to see a bunch of wires. What you're looking for is the blue and the purple wire, and we're just going to cut those just like that. So there it is, the blue and the purple wire here that goes to the factory connector. And then we are going to go ahead and just strip off a little sheathing from this blue and purple wire. Be careful while you're doing this. The wires are really small, and you don't want to cut any of the wire. You just want to strip about 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch off of the sheathing. All right, so we're going to provide you with some black and some red primary wire here. You want to strip a little bit off from these as well. And then we're going to supply you with these shrink and seal butt connectors. These things work really great. You're going to take the red wire and you're going to twist that together with the blue wire that goes towards the connector that goes towards the vehicle. You're going to twist those wires together. You're going to slide that into one end of these butt connectors. Make sure that both wires are in there, and you're going to go ahead and crimp that tightly. And once you do that, you're going to want to make sure that that crimp is nice and tight and those wires are not going to pull out. Then you're going to take the black wire and you're going to connect it with this purple wire. Remember, connect to the side that goes to the vehicle. Twist those together. And then insert those into the other butt connector that we supply. Make sure they're all the way in the butt connector and go ahead and crimp that connector down. Now we're going to take this purple and black wire and connect it to the purple wire that goes into the taillight. That wire is really small, so be very careful and be extra sure that you crimp it tightly. You may have to use the smaller crimp portion of your pliers. Make sure that's in there nice and tight. And then do the same thing with the red and the blue wire. Those go to the blue wire that goes into the back of the taillight. Same deal. It's pretty small, be careful. Crimp it extra tight. All right, now that you have those butt connectors connected, we're gonna go ahead and shrink these tubes. So I've got a heat gun here. You can also use a hair dryer. You can use a lighter, but be careful, a lighter can actually melt it. And what you're gonna do is just work your heat gun or your hair dryer or your lighter quick over these heat shrink tubes. You're gonna see them start to shrink. Then there's a glue in here, like a hot glue that's going to melt as well. And when you see that start to seep out of the end of the connector, you know that they're shrunk enough and that everything is hot enough. On these smaller wires, they may not shrink enough, so what you can do is take your pliers and just go ahead and grab one edge of the connector there and crimp it. And that'll make a little flag looking piece on that connector, and that'll squeeze that glue out. Just hold it like that so everything is nice and sealed. All right, check these connectors and make sure that they're all watertight, that you can see some glue squeeze on both sides, that those little flags are tight enough, little flags that you pinched are tight enough to seal the other end of the wires. And then go ahead and grab some electrical tape and just tidy this up, just basically so that if this new red and black wire ever gets pulled for any reason, that it's not going to pull those connectors apart. So just use some tape just to clean this up a little bit. You can tape the connectors all the way. This is all LED and pretty low power, so we're not super worried about it, but we just don't want any corrosion here. Now we're going to go ahead and reattach this plastic bracket that we removed earlier with the Phillips head screws that we removed. So we're going to feed these wires through this grommet here. So I'm going to take a punch, or you can use a screwdriver or whatever, and I'm going to make a hole right on the edge there, just big enough to feed those wires through. Be careful you don't actually poke the harness when you do that. Now go ahead and pull that black and red wire up through the hole in the grommet that you made earlier, and make sure you're going through the tail light hole in the back. Go ahead and reconnect this harness, clip the safety clip back in, and make sure you feed the loose wire up there, and then reinstall your tail light. Go ahead and reinstall the bolt that you removed from the tail light and tighten it down. Don't over tighten this, it only needs to be barely snugged. So we're going to follow this wire harness here with our new red and black wire, but we want it inside of this factory loom here. So to do that, we're just going to pop these clips out. You can use a screwdriver, or you can use this as like a dash tool. It works really well for getting these clips out without ruining them. So we got all those out. And this one was already removed, but that's usually right in there. So now we have to get our wires in here, but we want to do that without ruining these clips, because these factory clips are pretty hard to come by. So here is a little trick that you can do. So you know how zip ties work? There's a little plastic clip in there that holds the zip. What you can do is you can put a little pressure on it, and you'll see that give you a little space to put a pick in. Go ahead and hold that inner clip down, and you can open it right up, and we can reuse this factory zip. Do the same thing for this one inside the Jeep. Now we want to pull off this factory cloth tape, and do that with a pair of scissors or a pair of nips. Be sure that you don't cut through any of the wires when you do this. We'll re-tape it with just regular electrical tape. We just want to get into this nylon loom just like that on that side. And we'll do the same on the opposite side. All right, now we're gonna follow this loom with our new red and black wire, and you can tape or loom this if you want in here. It's gonna be all hidden under the plastic, so we're not really worried about it getting damaged. But if you're super picky about stuff like that, go ahead and get some small wiring loom and loom it up. But we're just gonna slide it in through this nylon sheath here. And go ahead and pull it through the opposite side. Now we're going to use a couple zip ties or some tape, whatever you want, to just tape these wires to this factory harness just so it doesn't move around. And then we are going to retape this factory nylon loom on both sides. Reinstall the zips that you pulled earlier, and you may have to take your pick and push that plastic piece down just a little bit in case they don't grab. Now reinstall this harness back on all of its pegs and the clips back in their respective holes. All right, so go ahead and zip tie this red and black wire to the wiring harness in the bottom of your tailgate. Zip tie it, or you could use tape too. And I know this is a ridiculous amount of work for a license plate light, but if it's legal in your state, this is way better than getting a ticket, because I'm not gonna pay your ticket, so that's all on you. So once you get this red and black wire all the way to this side, you can just let it hang right there. We'll work with that later. Now we're gonna go ahead and put this interior trim back together in the exact same way that it came apart. It all snaps right back in. Make sure it's underneath this rubber gasket here. Make sure all the clips are snapped, and then you can go ahead, put the taillight bolt cover back on. Remember these little plastic clips that hold on the tailgate rubber. If you remove those can push right back in again. And then if you have a soft top, reinstall this bracket with the hardware that you removed and a T50 Torx bit. And then snap your soft top back into place. Make sure it's all tight. And that's it for that, good as new. All right, so here's the connector for the factory third brake light. We're gonna need to cut that off. Ooh, here's one I prepared earlier. So once that's cut off, we will take these wires and we will strip them. Just like that. So after you get the vehicle side harness stripped, go ahead and stick it through the hole in this bracket. And don't forget to do this, or you're going to be sad like I was 5 minutes ago when I forgot to do this and I had to do it all over again. So slide that through the hole in that bracket, and then go ahead and take the butt connectors that we give you and crimp just one side. The factory wires are white and black here. So we are just going to stick these on one side. Now go and grab the third brake light that we give you, and you're going to be compelled to wire it with the white to the white green and the black to black, but don't do that. This is a trailer LED, and they're wired with white as ground and black as battery positive. So we're actually going to wire these in backwards. So black is going to go to white green, which is the brake light positive on this vehicle. Go ahead and slide that in and crimp it. And then white is going to go to black. Black is the ground in the vehicle. White is the ground on this light. Go ahead and crimp that as well. Make sure you're, oh, see, look, bad crimp. You always got to check those crimps and make sure that they're tight, or you're going to have a bad connection. So usually when they pull out that easy, you can slide it right back in again and then re-crimp it. Perfect. Go ahead and grab your heat gun or your hair dryer or your lighter and heat shrink these butt connectors. I said butt. Now I'm going to go ahead and tape this up just for aesthetics. It should be perfectly sealed without the tape, but that way the whole harness here is the same color. All right, now we are going to take the grommet end, the end that goes in the vehicle, and we are going to take a punch or a pick or a screwdriver or whatever you've got here, and we are going to punch a hole right there in the bottom of this rubber grommet without punching into the wire. So, you know, you can peel this back, watch your fingers, be really careful, and open it up just big enough to fish this red and black wire through, but small enough so that the rubber will reseal around them. And then once you get that hole done, maybe just one at a time, push that wire through there. And you can kind of see it right there in the end. And you can even use your pick at this point and just kind of sacrifice the end of the wire and push it through. But make sure that you clip that end of the wire off once you pull it through there. All right, there's one. And for the second one, what we can do is take just a little bit of tape and tape this second wire to the first very tightly, but not with so much tape that it creates this huge extra diameter. And then we can pull this through. May have to feed it through on both sides, but once that tape gets through on this side, go ahead and grab it. Pull both through. Now go ahead and pull them through equally, and then most likely you'll probably have to cut some off because you may have sacrificed the sheathing when you pulled on them. But go ahead and pull them so that the ends of these wires are just about even with the connectors. So it'll look just like that. And then we'll go ahead and tape this side of the grommet just to keep everything nice looking, even though this is going to be buried inside the tailgate. Just like that. Now we're going to take our infamous license plate light and we are going to line it up with the end of the connector for the camera, just about right there. Go ahead and cut it. And strip the wires. These are super small, just like the factory JK light wires, so be careful when you strip them. Just like that. Strip our red and black wires that you just ran through that grommet. Like that. Take two more of the crimp and seal connectors. That one's a little long, so we can just trim it up a little bit. Crimp them on the wire side here. Go ahead and connect the license plate light wires, black to black and red to red, on these crimp connectors. And be careful when you crimp them. These wires are tiny, so you may have to use the smaller crimpers on your pliers, but that could damage this shrink sheathing, so just be super extra careful while you're doing it. Sometimes if you accidentally punch a little hole in the sheathing with your crimpers, just like that right there, once you heat it, it'll close right back up, so keep that in mind as well. Now we're going to go ahead and tape up this harness, and we provide you with some loom to cover this up, or you can just do a really great tape job and that'll look awesome as well. Entirely up to you. At some point you're going to want to keep the split between the brake light and the camera coaxial. With the camera coaxial and the license plate light, you can tape almost up to the top, maybe leave 5 inches untaped. If you are installing our tire carrier delete plate, there's going to be a lot of extra harness here. You can go ahead and just loop it up behind the license plate. I'll show you how to do that in a second. If you are installing our license plate relocation bracket in our shield carrier or our adventure carrier, you might need a lot of this harness. Cool. All right, so once you have this all together for our tire carrier delete plate, you will have a third brake light through a hole right here. You will have a license plate light right next to your camera coaxial, all taped up really nice, down to your grommet that goes through your tailgate. Your connector's there, and then this red and black wire loose right now. So now we can actually get to assembling our tire carrier delete license plate bracket. All right, so now you want to take the camera that you removed earlier and connect it with the coax connector, and then take our delete bracket here, flip it upside down, and slide that camera into the hole with the tab, the mounting tab, facing downward, kind of opposite of what you'd expect because the label's on there the other way. And then we provide you with this bracket right here, and that wraps around the camera just like that. And take the longer 1/4 inch stainless bolts that we provide, slide those through the front, through that bracket, and then put the 1/4 inch flange nuts on the back. Make sure the camera is centered in that bracket and that the U kind of captures it all the way around, and hold that tight. Go to the front and take a 5/32 Allen and tighten down those 1/4 inch stainless bolts. You don't have to go crazy on them. Just snug those down just so that the camera is captured and doesn't move. Grab your license plate and slide it in from the side. Grab some of that 1/4 inch stainless hardware and loosely install it on the top bolts of the license plate. Leave this top bolt all the way loose and go ahead and slip the license plate light in there. Just leave that like that for now. Then we're going to take this third brake light mount and put it underneath, sandwiching the bottom license plate bolts to the frame. Hold that together just like that. You can loosely install 2 more of those 1/4 inch stainless bolts and flange nuts. Now on the bottom of this license plate light is some super sticky adhesive. So you're going to want to pull this tape off that. You only get one shot at this, so make sure you center it up properly on its little flange. Stick that on. Hold it for a couple seconds, and that'll be good to go. Now just go ahead and pull its wires through the plate there, and tighten down these upper plate bolts with a 5/32, being careful not to cut these wires with the plate when you tighten it. If you don't like that red showing, you can put a little bit of black electrical tape on that before you pull it through, but it's so tiny I don't think anyone's going to notice that. Now this bracket's slotted, so we're going to want to center that up and go ahead and tighten these lower license plate mounting bolts. Sometimes these lights ship with really small holes. We're not sure why. So if you get that, you may have to drill them out a little bit. You're going to grab a 7/32 or even a 3/16 if that's all you have drill bit, and just quickly drill those out. You're not going to be into any of the light, just plastic. It's not a big deal at all. Go ahead and grab these tiny little button head bolts that we provide and slide them through the light and the bracket. Take a nylock and put it on the bottom, and these tighten down with a 2.5 millimeter hex, and the nuts take a 7 millimeter end wrench. Now, like I said, on our delete plate, you're going to have a lot of extra harness here, so it's easier right now just to loop this up like this. You're going to leave yourself about 6 inches sticking out on the side there, and then just either tape this up or zip tie it up, and we can hide it right up behind the license plate. And if you want to secure it even more, you can take a small zip tie and go between the third brake light bracket here and the delete plate itself. And you can zip tie that wire just like that. All right, now we can bolt this on the Jeep using the factory hardware, and we can tighten that all down with a 13 millimeter socket. All right, now we're going to push these wires through the hole whence they came. Do the 2 connectors first and then the bare wires. Go ahead and feed them through there. Just leave it just like that for now. Then you want to grab them on the other side and make sure they are properly routed through this hole here. And then go ahead and push the rest of this harness in, and then from the inside you'll pull on the harness while you press this grommet, and you'll get that grommet seated on the door. Alright, so once you have these wires here, we can go in and re-plug in the factory connection. So here is the backup camera coaxial, and here is the third brake light plug. Make sure to lock the factory locking connector. And then here we have our license plate LED from the plate mount, and then here we have our connections from the taillight. So we are going to cut these wires the same length as all of the factory connectors. Then we're going to strip off a little bit of each one of these connectors. Now we're going to supply you with some wiring disconnects here, and these are so if you ever want to remove this tire carrier delete or our license plate mount on our tire carriers, all you have to do is remove all these wires and push them through the gate, and you are good to go. All right, so we got some male and female ones here. It doesn't matter which one you do. We'll put the female ones on the tailgate side. We'll put the matching spade on this other side of the red wire and crimp that guy. And we can connect these two together, just like that. Do the same thing for the black wires. Now we're going to zip tie these wires up just like this. And you can tape these up if you want. There's not going to get really any moisture in here, but then we're going to get the factory tailgate panel here. Reinstall that. And it looks like we never did anything. All right, that's all you have to do to get that pesky worthless spare tire off the tailgate of your Jeep Wrangler and still be legal. Look, we have a license plate light, a license plate, a third brake light, all legal. And I know that license plate light seems like the hardest part, and it is probably the longest part of the install, but don't skip it. I don't want to be responsible for you going straight to jail for not having a license plate light. All right, if you have any questions, problems, comments, or concerns with this install or any install of JCR Off-Road products, shoot us a message at tech@jcroffroad.com or call us at 269-353-1184. Thank you so much for your support. Thanks for being part of the JCR Off-Road family. We'll talk to you soon. It's great.